Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Ask Colin and Jane show. We're so happy and delighted to have Dawn Finnegan on as our first ever guest.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
Thanks very much, Dawn. For any of you that don't know who Dawn Finnegan is, she is a local makeup artist, but she's also a really good ambassador, influencer and blogger as well. And I suppose it's just getting to know a bit more about Dawn. Dawn and I have come on here and we're just hoping to have a chat. We don't really know how this is going to go, so Colin on the other hand has rehearsed this over and again. So just have fun, guys, and I hope you get a lot of content from this.
This is also probably about our 15th take because our camera kept freezing, so we're off to a good start on episode 2, so fingers crossed. I'm going to touch base on the feedback that we got from episode 1. Both myself and Jim is overwhelmed. We've got over 500 between reviews, comments and questions around that. One of the most top things was our view on short-term happiness, and so many people relating to, oh my god, that's them, and how to kind of get away from that or kind of get into that long-term or to set themselves up on long-term happiness. Our view on mental happiness, so many people have said that, you know, God, I've never looked at it that way. I suppose in mental health, a lot of people think, oh, it sounds very negative straight away. So mental happiness kind of takes that little bit of a sting out of that one, and getting that kind of feedback on that. Another top thing is, I suppose, success slash happiness. So where is the balance between them? How do you kind of kick off on that one? And relationships, that we're the cutest couple ever. That may be, we just... some other day on that one. We touch base on that one another day. So we're actually going to kick it off.
Yeah, so I suppose, Dawn, from the day I met you, you've been a huge influence. I don't know anything about makeup, but in regards to business and how you reach out to the community and get involved in giving back to people, I love that element of things. And just your sheer passion to actually help people as well as run a really successful business. And I know, you know, Colin and I's journey, it's not all what you see on Instagram. There's hard days, there's hard work, there's long days, and it doesn't just happen overnight. And I think that's something that we've, you know, today's society want things now. We don't have a lot of patience. I know in the fitness industry it's like that, so I'm sure it's the exact same in any industry. So I suppose just a bit about yourself, your journey. We're really interested to know a bit more, and it's blown me away. So definitely just let them know a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not an overnight success. It does take a lot of work. It does become your life. It's such a grind and a hustle. And I think for me, growing up, like, makeup was my passion. It was just one of those things that I was obsessed with from I was about 7 or 8 years old. I always knew that this is what I want to do. I want to be in the beauty industry. I think going through school, I was probably at that, I know makeup now is so big, but I think I was part of that, you know, stage where it wasn't really a known thing to become a makeup artist. And, you know, you either had to go into law or medicine or business or do something really academic. And I'm not the most academic person. I was, I suppose, a bit of a messer in school. I went for the
three of us
we can relate to that one. But I went more so for the crack than to actually learn something. And I think one thing I found in school is, you know, the education system in Ireland, I think it's made for the academic. It's not made for the ambitious or those of us who want to be successful or want to be, you know, creative. It's like, if you don't have a degree, you can't be successful. And I always felt that that's what it was. But I always had in my head, I want to own my own business. I want to be successful. I want to be at a certain point in my life where I kind of think, do you know what, I've kind of made something of myself. And that's really what I strived for. So as soon as I finished school, I went straight into beauty college, trained as a beauty therapist first, and in my second year then I went to Dublin and I did full-on intense training to become a makeup artist. So during that time I was about 18 years old. I started on work experience in Fuchsia, so that was my first kind of leg in the door that I kind of thought, okay, this was the big bad world for me. Like, it was my first ever job. So I'd never worked before, so this was my first like big eye-opener as to what it's like in the industry. So I started on work experience. It was, and I mean, when I say work experience, I wasn't going in doing makeup every day. I was cleaning, I was sweeping floors, I was washing brushes, and it was pure experience. It wasn't.
And I bet you never forget that.
Never in a million years, like never. But I mean, at the time, I remember just feeling so grateful and so thankful that I was in this industry and
that
I
environment.
was in
with
that
them
environment
people
and I was watching these big makeup artists and I was going, I want to be that one day.
Yes,
you know,
brilliant. You had a vision.
I had this vision, and I remember looking at the head makeup artist there at the time, and I was like, that's my goal. I want to be her.
Fabulous.
And it took me about 6 years, and I did get it. And I did become head makeup artist.
Can I just emphasize what you just said there? 6 years. Like, you didn't do it in 6 weeks. You didn't do it in 6 months. 6 years. Can you imagine, like, all the things that happened in them 6 years? I'm sure you had a lot of days, even though you had that vision long term, that you thought, oh my goodness, will I ever get there? It can be overwhelming. Emotions can be, I know, especially for us in business, that can be a struggle, but you never give up on that vision that you had.
No, never. And I mean, even on the tough days, like there's days where you're like, oh, I'm so tired, or you know, I think when you're doing makeup, it seems to be a glamorous job, but I mean, you're standing for 10 hours a day, you're destroyed, you know, you have product all over you, you're sweating, you're running adrenaline, and that's the reality of it. And when you have that constantly day to day, that can get to you, and you kind of think, I can't do this anymore, or you might struggle with certain things. And then obviously as makeup starts to become bigger in Ireland, you've so many other people doing it as well, so
competition,
you have competition. So I mean, it took me, I think, a while to think, you don't have competition, you know, you don't have to be as good as everyone around you, or you don't have to be the same as everyone around you. You're your own competition. You have to compete with the person you were yesterday. And that's one thing that took me a long time. That took me probably more years than anything to get to that point.
And I suppose
that were the exact same.
You're talking about, I suppose, but I suppose the key thing that I've talked about what you've just said so far is, I suppose, getting yourself into that environment, even if it was sweeping floors or what it is, but you're in that environment where you kind of know, but also that you said that you see these top makeup artists doing their thing, and understanding your emotions was attached that wants to be. So understanding your own emotions at that age of 18 or whatever it kind of is, I suppose, is key of what I took of what you've just said there. And I suppose, even so many people think, like, I suppose the measure of success now is owning their own business or whatever it is. I would just like a lot of people to bear in mind that probably number 10 in Facebook probably earns more money than 70% of entrepreneurs or people self-employed out there. So you don't have to work for yourself. It depends on what really suits you. So you kind of know maybe at a point that when you kind of want to change or adopt. So just understanding that it's not all, success is not measured whether you work for yourself or how many followers you've got or X, Y, and Z.
I think the main thing is finding your passion in what you're doing. And I set up my blog 4 years ago, and I never in a million years had the intention of this will be a business. This was just something that I kind of thought, you know, I'll set it up and have a bit of fun with it. I wanted to just create an online community that was basically kind of centered around Drogheda. And that I can kind of get people involved and get local businesses involved, and that was more so my aim. But I mean, I wasn't thinking tens of thousands of followers. I was thinking, you know, a couple of hundred here and there.
But you were enjoying the process.
I enjoyed it so much, and from the day I set it up, and even to this day now, I'm so passionate about it, and I love writing. Like, I can sit on my laptop or I can have pen and paper for hours and just blast it out, and that's where I got my passion from, because I love writing. But I mean, I never set up the blog with the intention of this would be a business. I'm very lucky that, I mean, it has become a business, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But I think it was more so my passion that got, you know, my blog to where it is now.
Yes,
so,
and it's a line kind of that always stood in my head was last year somebody gave me that line of, you know, when you focus on your passion, you never have to work a day in your life. And it's something you just said there, and even listening to you, how many years on of doing this, your voice and your passion it's still actually the exact same as probably it was 6 years ago
completely.
when you first walked into Fuchsia.
Completely.
That energy you're giving to what you're doing is still there, which is the reason why you are successful.
When you keep that, you know, you don't feel like you're working.
It's back to emotions though, isn't it?
Definitely your emotions. I suppose, like, for me, I suppose we planned our official launch. We had 3 special guests here, and we had 110 people here, mostly females on Mother's Day. So myself and Jane was quite privileged in that one. But I suppose Pat Dibley was doing the speaking, and I was sitting down in the front seat, and I'm like, should I like to do that? You know, that was what my emotions said to me straight away. But then automatically, straight after that, was like, no, he's Pat Dibley. He does this every day, and he is Pat Dibley. So straight away I put him on a pedestal, But understanding that, you know, and then something else come back to me. I had actually met Pat the night before in the Boyne Valley where he stayed when he came up the road, and I realised that he was sitting in a room, sitting eating out of a lunchbox. His photographer Paul was with him, laying on his bed with his hands in the back of his head, and I was sitting in a chair just having a normal conversation with normal people. So everybody's normal people just doing what they do. I've just noticed there, we can actually feel the vibrations from the plant next door. I think it's vibrating our camera, is it? Yeah. It's not too bad, is it?
Cool.
Yeah, this by the way, this is what you get is what you see. There is no cutting, no editing here. So I've just actually noticed that you can probably maybe actually hear it, can you?
I can feel it.
It's the plate at the back next door. I don't even know what to do, but every so often you hear the machine. But anyway, we're going to rock on, so we'll not get too sidetracked. Sorry about that. I'm just letting everybody know what the story is. Kate's over there holding the table for dear life, trying to stop it from vibrating. It's all good. It's all good. It's not your fault. I forget even now what I was talking about. But anyway, passivity, yeah, we just put people on pedestals, but we also believe that in today's society, patience, we lack a lot of patience, and I suppose it's understandable why, I suppose, because you want something, you go on Amazon, you get it delivered the next day. You don't even have to look up movie times anymore because you just download them. You watch a movie whenever you want to watch a movie. Also, you don't even binge, if you're watching an episode, you don't have to wait till 9 o'clock next Wednesday to watch an episode. You can just binge an episode.
Everyone's instant available.
You know what I mean? All you gotta do is swipe right now and then you become a stud. You know? So you don't even have to go through that awkward thing of and a date kind of thing for now. So we just live in that instant world of everything. So I suppose we think now success should be there or measure with that kind of thing, and it's not. I mean, we live in a great era of technology and smartphones and everything else, but there's nothing technology or there's no app for meaningful conversations, and I suppose job satisfaction. There's nothing. There's no app or no technology. There are long grinding processes that you just have to go through in life, and we're all, I suppose, the way I describe that is we all, in today's society, we all see the summit and we want to get to the summit, and everybody wants to make an impact. And if you ask most people what do they want from life, I want to make an impact. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but it's as if they want to be, they can all see the summit, and they can see, and that's where they want to go, but they don't see the mountain between them and the top of the summit. It doesn't matter how fast you go up or how slow you go up, but you still have got to get up to the top of that mountain, and I think that's what a lot of people miss in terms of that one. So meaningful conversations, I suppose, is an important one. We in today's society, we spend a lot of our time, I suppose, behind filters, Instagram, Facebook filters, which sends to the outside world that I'm flying and I'm super fine and happy, where maybe I'm semi-depressed or suffering really bad inside. So that's kind of where we're at the minute in terms of that one. And just understanding that yes, deep meaningful conversations are still very, very important, and they always will be, by the way. There's no technology ever going to take over it, so we need to communicate and understand that there's slow processes that need to be done, and we need to overcome them.
Do you know one thing that really stands out to me, the more business people you actually talk to, is no matter how successful they are, how much money they bring in, people are still having the same struggles. It doesn't, what's in your bank account. And this is what I find a lot of people live for, that when this happens, I'm going to be happy. And we see this in our industry so much. And even myself going through a weight loss journey, I was the exact same. I'll be happy when I'm a size 8. I'll be happy when I'm told I'm happy when this. And realistically, it all starts in here. And if you're not happy in here, it doesn't matter what shape or size you are, how much money's in your bank account. It starts in here, and that's an important message that I think needs to get across. I'm sure you agree with that.
I think when I first started working for myself, it was constantly I always needed to have a job lined up or an event lined up, because that made me feel like I was somewhat making it, or that to me felt like I was being successful. That if I constantly had something. And I remember my mum said to me one day, will you just stop and look at what you've done the last 9 months? But in my head I was like, no, I have to keep working for the next one and the next one and the next one. But that was my mindset, that I had to keep chasing the next job or keep chasing the next event, because that was success. But in actual fact, I should have, and now I can stop and say, actually look at what I have done, and be present in the moment and think, actually,
just being
success.
grateful,
and just being grateful for what you have, but also what you've done.
Exactly.
And that you don't have to constantly be chasing the next high or you know the next thing that's going to come around.
But it's that's actually really interesting one, because so many people, like, I suppose maybe particularly in the Instagram influence kind of world, blog kind of world, is they actually start off by just documenting their beliefs and their passions and just doing it because they really love doing it, and then people start hitting them up to promote maybe businesses or things like that. And then they're like, oh, this is actually like an added bonus to what they're doing, but they're still doing what they love doing. But this is where some people get caught and they're like, oh shit, I've kind of, if you want to call it, made it now, and then they feel like they need to do something different. And now they're going doing shit that's not their belief system, and they're doing it because they think that this is what they're supposed to be doing. The logic has changed, and now they become unhappy and not fulfilled with what it was. Whereas before that, look, it's all about enjoying the process. Where these were enjoying the process, now they put themselves under pressure. And now they're doing stuff that they're not actually enjoying as much. So that's actually one of the top ones for actually failed businesses. Is that they stop doing what they actually started doing, what actually worked for them, because they feel they need to give more. Like, I suppose in terms of my story and where I came from, like, someone said to me, oh, well, you've already told that in a talk already. I'm like, I'm never going to stop telling that. I'm like, that is my message. I'm like,
absolutely.
And I'm like, if we really lived in a world where you said something once and people just picked it up, wouldn't that be great? I'm like, particularly in today's, I'm like, when I listen to something that I find really interesting or I want to learn or observe, I will listen to it at least 10 times. So I'm like, that's what we got to keep doing, repetition. That's how you learn how to drive a car or whatever it is. Or when picking up a bad habit, if you start smoking fags and you keep smoking, that's how you pick up a bad habit. So everything comes through repetition. So that's how you pick up a bad habit and just reversify it to undo it.
Yeah, but it is a huge thing that I suppose we think that everybody else has a different story or different message that is better than our own, or what if this person is thinking, you know, it goes back to what other people think, and it's something that, like, even starting our business, it was my biggest fear of, like, you know, who's gonna listen to me and who's gonna think I'm gonna know enough to do what the other Jim could do or whatever. And that fear of caring about what other people think, I think, holds back so many in everything.
Oh, massively.
Like, even in starting a journey, they're like, I'm afraid of, you know, what if I go into this and then people don't think I'm good enough for it and then I stop. You know, they're all different emotions that people go through, and it's definitely one that I went through.
Oh, like, we are our own worst enemy, and I think, like, we will put ourselves down more than anyone else in this world. Like, we will always have that self-doubt about yourself. And I do think, like, when you're running a business, and you guys will know as well, like, it takes a lot to actually believe in yourself and to get to that point and think, do you know what, actually I can do it, and I will do it, and I will succeed. But it takes a while to actually get to that level, and I think some people look at certain business people and they do think that it just happens overnight, when it's like, you know, they won't see the days where you're thinking this isn't going to happen, or I can't do it, or that person's bigger than me, or, you know, like, they don't really see the self-doubt that comes with that. But I think it's getting to that point where you think, do you know what, maybe I can do it.
And I think it's about, like, every goal that you achieved, you know, them smaller goals. Although you had that big vision of looking at that makeup artist on that particular day and you thought, I want to be more. But you obviously set yourself small goals throughout to, you know, that to keep you taking over, and every hurdle you got past, you got more confident in yourself. And that's probably most businesses do, is to start believing themselves from
look at it. I suppose, like, I mean, it's just, I suppose, like, you just relate your general life to business. It's the same thing. Like, it's just, I suppose, a different context. I suppose one thing that I found really valuable was a bit of advice that I came across was, like, feedback is important, and I suppose listening to the people in the outside world or one thing or other, but was that too much positive feedback leaves you entitled and vulnerable, and too much negative feedback leaves you weak and scared. So you have to find the middle. You have to find the middle balance line in everything in life. You know, like, I suppose they talk about kids and parenting nowadays, like kids that maybe have got too much attention and too much of everything, maybe money handed them, whatever it is, or maybe as ones that was nearly got no attention and everything. So you have to find that middle road of free range. Let them play around with it, but understand where the boundaries is of when you can pull back and to and from, and that's kind of just where that is just of how to deal with that kind of an understanding. Look at it, everything goes back to self-awareness, and just keeping focus, and I suppose in what you kind of want.
I suppose just a question that it was sent in to us, and it's something that I think about quite regularly. Obviously, like every business person, we want to do more and we've more visions and all that there. But one of the struggles that a few people, and not even in business, but just in general, is like understanding, say, your emotions and business, like, or your emotions and your journey, whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's bloody, I don't know, losing weight, whatever. Like, our emotions control everything, and sometimes, like, when I seen them comments coming in, I was like, I want to ask you know, your idea of that, because, and sometimes it's me and Colm's biggest struggle is that, and I'm really rationalising gender here, so just bear with me on this one, but for me and Colm, for sure, he's very logic thinking, and this is the logic way to do this, and this is how it's done. And for me, I'm very, well, what if this, what, like that person, and I'm thinking of the emotions that attach to it. And I suppose not getting overwhelmed in the journey. So whether it's business or weight loss or whatever it is, a goal in mind, of not getting overwhelmed in the process. Is there anything that you found in your journey that, like, I'm putting you on the spot here, this wasn't rehearsed.
No, go for it.
I was supposed to tell you about this question, I forgot. Is there anything that you, like, have you ever found yourself getting overwhelmed about your journey or your goal and think, right, well, what strategies can I put in place to keep me, to not let emotions overpower where I want to go?
It's interesting, like, when I was leaving, like, my job, like, I was in my full-time job for 9 years, I was financially secure, but I knew that I needed a new challenge. So I decided to leave, and just, I didn't leave with a plan going, I'm going to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
I left thinking, I'm just going to let fate see what happens and see where I end up.
Yeah.
So I left, and about 2-3 weeks after I left my full-time job, I checked my bank balance and I had 72 cents.
Oh my goodness.
And that's all I had to my name was 72 cents. And I sat in a coffee shop and I was going, like,
I'm
in this situation. I've just left my full-time job with financial security. I've absolutely no backup plan. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I kind of thought, okay, you can either sit and think, shit, poor me, or you can flip it and go, right, get yourself out there. You're never going to be broke forever. You're never going to always have 72 cents. So I threw myself out there, and I started to, you know, advertise doing makeup, advertising doing masterclasses, advertising doing one-to-one lessons, advertising doing more PR for different businesses. And about 6 months down the line, and it's not just about money, but about 6 months down the line, I had one day in August, and in that one day I made more in that one day than I ever made in 1 month.
Oh my goodness.
And all I could think of that one day, and it's not to say like, oh, I made all this money, it's not about that.
It's the emotions.
But it was the emotions attached to that, where I was thinking, remember that day 2 weeks after I left my job where I sat there with 72 cents. And you know, I sat there feeling dread, feeling guilt, feeling fear,
I can imagine.
feeling everything that I was going to fail. And then 6 months later, it was complete elation, and you kind of had that moment where you're like, I'm actually kind of proud of myself, you know. And it was just the complete gratitude for what I'd done, and I thought, you know what, like, it is possible.
And then I can do more, and then it just gives you a little bit of fire in your belly.
And it's not even about the money that you've made, but it's about that you know, I've come, you know, so far.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Like that, you probably used that day in that coffee shop as a tip. Or something to keep you going. So
to keep me going.
It's just planted in there.
It's in there.
The emotions that was there that day, like, shit, I'm scared. I don't know, what did I do?
I can actually relate to that now, I'm sure every...
And when you go to make a decision now, you probably think of that day in the coffee shop.
That day, and that will stay with me forever. But that was like my motivation. That was the fire in my belly, where it's like, okay, you either sit and wallow, or you get off your arse and you make it happen for yourself.
I love it.
And that was it. And
another
that was my moment.
Interesting one from our consultations we do and listen to people is, I'm always tired and no energy. So myself and Jane was talking about this the other day. So we were, and I suppose understanding, like, people are like, oh, I'm tired, I've no energy, but that is, you're not actually tired. You just don't do enough what lights your spark.
Yeah, completely.
And that's the actual thing there. So you need to start doing the things that actually makes you pumped and make you happy.
Yeah.
And then the tiredness just disappear. And that's just on that one. So it is. But we're going to go into a few questions, just a few kind of views on what your questions is. So it's on short-term happiness. How do you identify it?
I think for me, like, when it comes to short-term happiness, like I said, I was always kind of chasing the next high, instead of actually being in the present moment and thinking, okay, like, well, I could be quiet at the minute, or maybe I don't have a lot of work on, but look at what I've done in the last set amount of months, or look at what I'm going to do in the next few months. Whereas for me, like, I was at that time where I was constantly chasing the next high, and I constantly had to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I think I wasn't being present in the moment, thinking, look at what I have now, and how grateful I am for what I have now, and how grateful I am for my journey and for what I've done. You know, I couldn't really see past that, whereas now I can.
Yeah.
You know.
Jen.
I reflect on things like this all the time. Bear in mind, Colin has wrote these questions and rehearsed them for himself, and he's put me into one.
We're on the spot here, literally.
Bullshit, we're only half the button the
For me, I used to be like, the holiday one was for me. Like, Colin used to, like, again, Colin being a very logic person. For me, it was like, right, we're home from holidays. When are we going on our next holiday? And I lived for that. Like, and that, like, I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing, but it was kind of like, then my holiday was over, and I was like, oh my god, I was on such a down. So I think through the few years in business that we've been, Colin, with being a logic thinker, I've learned a lot from that, of going, right, well, I may be going away for a few days, but this is where I'm at, and this is what, and you know, by changing your mindset of that, of not just living for that, to actually enjoy it, then all of a sudden when you are going on that holiday, you're like, I can go and enjoy this now, rather than actually living for that being the most important thing.
Exactly.
I think that was a big one for me, because I would have 100% lived for my next holiday, or where I was going next, and then I'd nearly work myself towards that. Whereas it's actually just enjoying the process. Like, Colin and I went away with my parents a few weeks ago, and it was Friday evening. I was like, I haven't really even thought a lot about us going away, and I enjoyed it when I was there, but I was able to do my work, and I think enjoying my work was a big one involved.
Yeah, it's just understanding. Look at. I suppose short-term happiness, long-term happiness. Happiness, full stop, is an inside job.
Yeah.
And the answer's on the inside, and that's the, if you're comparing yourself, if you're going to a wedding and you really like this dress, and you're like, oh shit, I've been at that wedding before and I can't wear that dress, just wear the fucking dress. Sorry, excuse my language, but that's one for me. I remember going to the Chambers Awards, and it was black tie thing, and I didn't have only one suit to my name, and I borrowed a jacket of someone else and bought a pair of trousers at a pennies at €10. My whole outfit cost me €15 going to it. And like, I didn't give a damn, it was once off. But I remember speaking to someone else, and like, oh, I'm after buying that, didn't have one, paid £250, and I'm like, when are you going to wear it again? And they're like, never. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, that's bizarre. That's like, top 3 tips for long-term happiness. Jen.
So have a vision. I suppose we've talked about this. Having a vision is massive. Being grounded in yourself when you're doing it. It's something I struggled with for a long time, was that I suppose in valuing yourself, that you're worth that long-term happiness, and the journey is a massive one for me. It's something that I would have struggled with, is like, I had maybe a long-term happiness vision, but then the problem was, for the long-term success not happening, was because I didn't value that I was able to do it. So I think to get long-term happiness, you have to start off with valuing yourself, that you're worth having that self-belief.
Completely. I think self-care is a big one as well. And I think it's funny as well, because for me, for maybe the past year and a half, I was very much like work. And then when you're running your own business, you do constantly feel like you have to be grinding, and you have to constantly be working or doing something. And I find, like, for me, like, I'm so blessed to have the job that I have, but a lot of the time I take it home with me. Whereas, you know, you should be going home and that's your time. And that's how I was before I actually started training here. Because I would get home from work and I'd be on my phone, and it could be messages, what's my new content, what am I going to do? And before I knew it, like, I could sit there for 2 hours easily scrolling. And then one day it hit me where it was like, what could I have done in those 2 hours that was just for me and wasn't centered around work or my phone, and that's why I think for me, like, training here has been a massive, like, adjustment in my life, because I'm coming in here and my phone's, you know, it's out of my hands and it's away from me, and that's my 45 minutes where I'm like, I don't need it. But it's so important for me then, because it's like your little detox. And you do feel like mentally you feel a lot more refreshed, because you're getting out all your frustrations, you're looking after your physical but your mental well-being as well. And I think that that's something that I probably overlooked. So I think self-care is definitely It's definitely a big one. And then like that, having that vision to work toward. And I think every few weeks or few months, just reevaluating your goals, writing them down,
Brilliant.
and then bringing them to life as well. I think that's
absolutely love it.
I suppose patience is number one. I mean,
Colin has loads of patience.
patience, understanding that nothing happens. Look, I have to work and I'm in the presence of females most of my day. It's not easy, right? It's not easy. I think patience is a super important one. Look at, if we stop in life in general and look at the things that mean the most to us, that's most important to us, our relationships and things like that. And like, I mean, if you want to look at it like when, I suppose, when someone says in a relationship, a marriage, whatever it is, when was the moment you fell in love? There is no moment. It's the small things over a long period of time that mounts up to love. And understanding that it's the same with a fitness journey. There's no moment where you're like, oh shit, I've got the results that I want. But it's the small, like, nobody rocking up the gym and doing 8 hours of a training session saying, oh, I am where I am. It's the small little things over a long period of time that really mounts up to what really values. Look at, if you decided in the morning you wanted a baby, you still have to wait 9 months. You can't just get anything like that. So patience, I think, is super important one. And most both parents, female or male, would say when the child came along, it changed their life. Like, so that's the things that we value that's most important in life. Is patience. I forget the other two now. I'm too much into one.
He's rehearsed this so many times and now he's forgot it.
Patience, progress, I suppose, over perfection. We're so caught up in, getting shit and having it right, and if I don't put the right thing out there, they're going to fuck it up and people are not going to have full faith in it. That was my biggest struggle, by the way. Is just get the ball rolling, get doing it. If it's this here, like we're doing, you may have to feck it up 3 times to create something that's big. Even when I started public speaking, I tried it with a slideshow, I tried it with a flip chart, and I just did one flow. I knew going into the one with the flip chart I wasn't 100% comfortable. I knew that maybe I wasn't going to get my best message across, or maybe they weren't going to be the happiest. There was 14, 15 people there, but I was like, if I can find out what it is, maybe I could have thousands of people in the long run. So I thought in that long run, so it was definitely that. And then I suppose just look at, self-awareness, understanding what your emotions are, what you really want from a certain thing, and staying on track on that one. The next one we're going to go into is success, happiness. So this is interesting. When I start with you, Dawn, top 3 tips for success. So happiness.
I think be proud of every little milestone. And again, that's one thing I probably struggled with when I first started my own business, was I felt like I couldn't be happy for the small things, because it's that doesn't matter, that's only
you
small.
Underestimate what you've done.
Exactly, it had to be this big, accomplishment for you to feel that you were successful, and that for you to feel like you were happy. But in actual fact, it's not. I'm very grateful for the little things, and I think if I have a full week of I'm crazy busy at work, that is successful, and that's an achievement. And I think it's those little things that make it what it is, definitely.
Cool.
For me, it's definitely around what others think. For me, that's a big one for me. I know Colin and I communicate about this all the time. There's times where maybe work takes over our life and I'm not getting home to see my family, and I'm not getting to spend time with my friends, and I'm like, shit, what if my family thinks I'm not making an effort to come home and they're talking about me at home? What if my friends are going about and I'm being left out of the group and now I'm going to have no friends? What if? So for me, and what if someone at home sees my content and it's not the cool thing to do? That
Exactly.
would have been something that really, and as well as that, I would have been a people pleaser. So for me, it's brilliant to help people, and I think you can vouch for this. You give back so much, and that just really, I'm passionate about doing that. But how much is a balance to actually care for yourself as well? So them 2 things would be a big one for me. Getting that balance of helping people, but not giving. Somebody said to me once, there's only so much blood you can take from a stone, and that would have been something that I've been always fighting for the balance of that. So that'd be the 2 things for me.
I suppose I'll just hit self-awareness. I think is a massive one. Actually understanding what you want and not what other people want, or what you think the world wants, or anything else. So I suppose self-awareness, empathy. understanding other people's situations and being fit to communicate with people and understand where they are. I think empathy is a very important one. And work ethic.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Work ethic, I think, is super important. Just like I talked about previous, you know, you have the small steps, but keep the grind and keep going. Work ethic. There's nothing, and some of you can bring it to me if you want. Somebody that just got success overnight, it's non-existent. There's people maybe have adopted or inherited wealth and everything else, but it still doesn't mean that they're happy either. Them things. So work ethic, I think, is super important. When you work hard for something you cherish, I think you have more gratitude for where you kind of are. So definitely. I think work ethic is super important one. Jane, how do you measure your success?
Colin, we didn't practice. How to measure my success? I personally, for me, if I can get that balance of giving to people in my fitness studio, given the passion and enthusiasm and the struggles that I went through, if I can give that to my customers without me being run down, sick, low energy, you know, getting that balance of both, I'm successful, because it's something that it's a constant battle for me, and if I'm able to do both of them, like, I'm winning straight away.
Yeah, I have to back that up as well. I think getting that like gratification from clients or people that you're working with or people around you, I think that in itself is the big one. Like, that feels like it's success when you've you know, added something to someone else's life where, you know, they're so happy, right? You've given back to someone. I think that for me is a huge one.
I suppose just understanding, I suppose, that whatever lights your spark, I suppose, is like we don't have to be, as we briefly talked before we press record, we were talking about everybody wants to be the Amazon or the Uber or the Airbnb, but there's Wish that does 1.5 billion in sales and 50% of people haven't heard of them, but they're overly happy with what they do and how they achieve it. So whatever, I suppose, just enjoying the journey and understanding it's an inside job as well. It's just it's whatever lights your spark on a day-to-day basis. Some people might want to earn 10 grand a week, somebody might be happy with 500 if it's in money terms. So 500 for you is okay, but doesn't mean if someone earns 10, maybe that's their thing. It's literally what makes you happy inside and what keeps you fired up on a day-to-day basis.
But I do believe, this is my belief system, is that like once you find that balance of looking after yourself and following your passion, money is something that's gonna, you know, it'll always back you up. I think if people are sitting looking at their bank account, it's where they're going wrong. And for me, that's something that I'm like, I think if I can just get that balance, I will be free from financial concern is my goal. You know, that's where I want to be. No.
So success, happiness, where to start for anyone out there, where to go after listening to all of this now? What's the first thing, I suppose? Go with you, Dawn.
I think, stay focused on your goals, stay focused on your vision. I think constantly make sure that you're always enjoying it. I think sometimes people think, you know, I have this dream, and then maybe halfway through they're thinking, hey, this isn't for me, but they feel like they have to kind of keep going and then it makes them unhappy. And I think if you become unhappy and it feels like it's a chore and you're kind of dragging yourself out of bed every morning to do something that you're just not happy doing, I think then you've lost sight of what you're supposed to be doing.
Jane's interesting when Jane says to me, like, I have to go to football training. You don't have to go, you want to go. So that was one that Jane would have used as I found powerful. Go ahead, Jane.
For me, a big one for me is associate yourself with somebody. So if where to start would be go and meet somebody for a cup of coffee, whether it's in the industry you'd like to be. So like you said, that person that day on the floor, go up to that person, whoever that is in your industry, your thought that you're like, I would like to be there. If it's Dawn Finnegan, you'll be invited for loads of cups of coffee now. Whatever it is, somebody that you think successful, send them a message and try and meet them for a coffee. And if it's somebody over in Las Vegas and it's not possible, meet somebody that you think that you can catch up with that thinks in the same way. Because I find that has helped me a lot. Like if you were to start off, because you'll be guided in the direction that you'd want to go, and just talking to somebody else that maybe has went on that journey and learn from them, I think. Yeah,
like just going into that inner voice that's in your head. I think we all know, we all have visions in our head of doing stuff, but then we think, oh, that's crazy, I'm not good enough for that, or this is not me and that's not me. So I think combining the advice there and them two things, so for anyone that's actually stuck and like, I want to do something, so kind of listen to your emotions, that inner voice as to what it is, put a pen to paper, and then jump on Jane's advice there. Try to get yourself into that environment. So if it is a makeup artist, go to
somebody that's
what do you call them? What are you doing?
Like a Mua.
Yeah, go to something like, or if it is like, and I know people right now, majority of people are like, they say, I'm not just randomly texting somebody, I'm not just randomly ringing something, but like, I know if somebody texted or rang me asking me for advice, I feel privileged and honoured.
Yeah.
And like, that's what lights my bloody spark, you know. So it doesn't work like that. Our logic sometimes is the complete opposite from what really is going on. So just take that, if you have that little thing, get yourself to that environment. If it's whatever it may be, just go to where you think that is. Buy a ticket for it. It could be the best money you ever spend. It could answer so many questions to you, and just get yourself into that place and see if it's not. Look, when I came up from New Zealand, I realised that I was done working for other people and wanted to work for myself. I was talking myself out of this whole idea, everything else, and I was sitting at home like, then I went through this, what am I doing, cop on, you need to be working. So I picked up Dawn deal, went to look through to buy a business, with this courier van, Fastway courier, rang your way up, drove to RD, jumped and sat in the van. But like 12 o'clock of the day, I was looking out the window and there was people wrapping bales and sun was shining and they were doing silage and stuff, and I'm like, this is not me. No. But I went there, I put myself into that situation.
Try something new,
and I was like, now I could tick them off.
Yeah.
And then I finally got to where I want to get to. We're going to finish up with this last one question, and it is, how to stop caring what other people think. Jane.
That's a tough one.
Know where you're going.
Know where you're going. So basically,
like if you know your vision, stay grounded, stay focused. Stay focused on what you're at. The only advice I try and, something that I've been really trying to work on, is only take advice of people that have went through the journey. So for example, if I'm talking to somebody who's never, ran a business, I'm not going to take their advice on board if they haven't experienced already. So a big one for me is how to stop caring is to pick and choose who you're listening to. If it's someone that you think you would like to go in that direction, definitely go with it. If not, try and filter that out.
Cool.
I think it's being logical about the actual situation. Like, I think everyone goes through that phase where they worry or they stress about what other people think of them. But I think it's stopping and thinking, what does that person who I don't know and they don't know me, how does their opinion, value or add value to my life? And how is that gonna stop me from doing what I'm gonna do? How is that one opinion gonna halt my journey in any way? And I think it's just being logical about it and thinking, actually, you might think I'm good, but does that matter to me? Is that going to stop me? No.
Is that important?
And I think it's not easy to do that. It's not the easy thing to say, I don't care. People will always care to a certain extent, but I think if they don't add any value to your life,
that's
try and brush it off.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose for me, the tip I have, it might be more blunt kind of things, but 99% of shit does not matter.
Very true.
And that's for me, like, you know what I mean? So when it comes to that one, that's kind of where it is. So there's always going to be 1% of where you are going to value, and it's probably the people that's most closest to you. And I suppose understanding that we need to take more risks in life. And if you come up with a bright idea in the morning and you're going to go to it, and this is one, I love this one, and you come up with this idea, whether it's a business idea or it's a new job or whatever it is, and 8 people out of 10 agree with you, don't bother doing it. It's not a risk. So if 8 people disagree with you and 2 agree with you, go for it. That's a risk. It gives you more fire in your belly to say, I'm going to prove them people wrong. It gets you going. It lights you up and it gets you kind of going. So I think then, and it just goes back to that, too much positive feedback leaves you entitled and vulnerable, and too much negative leaves you weak and scared. So don't be afraid to take the risks and understand that 99% of shit does not matter. It's the stories we tell ourselves. We have no evidence to back it up. If we took half of it to court, it'd all be thrown out because there's no evidence to back any of it up. People, I hope you took value for this. Dawn, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Some interesting views from all different sides. And I hope you enjoy this, folks, and keep up the good work. Kate, you can wake up now. Any questions, folks, please talk them through. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.